Well, it was a frustrating game. I got Zach here with me. We were recording this the day after the terrible Sunday night performance. I think some Bears fans kind of regret being on prime time sometimes because it doesn't end up very well sometimes. But there's some positives to take away from this game. There's definitely some negatives to take away. Zach, how'd you feel watching the Bears play last night?
It was, honestly, it was just good to see the Bears on the field. I'll try not to be
That's a positive.
Yeah, I know. I'll try not to be as negative as I normally am on the show, but no, overall it was good to see, all the players out there. It was good to see Khalil Mack looking healthy, Akeem Hicks. Obviously we're missing a couple key contributors, our nose tackle Eddie Goldman, but no, it was fun. I actually went over to see the game at Austin's with his girlfriend. He made some really good buffalo chicken dip that I stole the recipe of. That shit slapped, man. It was really good.
He's got to learn a rotation though, because when I was talking to him during the Super Bowl, that's what he was eating too. So
I don't see why not. It was good.
Pounding down the same dip.
Have you tried it? It's really good, man. I'll send you the recipe.
I've had a buffalo chicken dip, but yeah, I'm sure his is crazy good. It probably would have made the game a lot better.
Practice makes perfect, man.
It was a rough one though. Like, my main positives, I think we'll start with the good things first.
Sure.
Because in a game like this, once you start breaking down the negatives, it just
never ends.
Implodes. Yeah, you can't help but focus away from it. David Montgomery had a great game. Got absolutely scared when it looked like maybe he had like a bum hamstring.
Oh
or
my
something
God!
For a
When
second,
he came out,
and I was like, we cannot have this right now. He's been the only thing that was really positive in the offense at that point, but he looked excellent. Honestly, just breaking tackles. Had that great broken tackle from Aaron Donald on the goal line, but that was just one of many, and broke off that great long run too, which is not something we get to see from Montgomery every week, but he looked like even quicker than last year, even a little more shifty. So it's great to see that he's made progress where, maybe his game wasn't as strong and kept the strong part of his game and breaking tackles up as well. So he looked phenomenal. And I think that a lot of Bears fans are really just going to be calling for him to get more touches as the season goes on.
Yeah, totally. He went, 16 carries, 108 yards. Obviously, he broke off for that 40-yarder. That really set the tone early. But he averaged 6.8 a carry, and obviously he got a rushing touchdown. So, yeah, Montgomery is a total stud. I think everyone collectively held their breath when he came off the field, and obviously we got to see Damian Williams take a couple snaps and didn't shine. He went 6 carries for only 12 yards, averaging just 2 yards a carry. So definitely need to see Montgomery on the field. Feed him the ball, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Damian Williams did, now they're different backs. Damian Williams is going to struggle a lot more to break that first tackle compared to David Montgomery, but it's showing you what David Montgomery is working with as far as that offensive line is concerned. I mean, thank God he's one of those running backs that is consistently breaking that first tackle, because he'd be down in the backfield most plays if he wasn't. So he's really making the most of those runs and then some. So I'm really impressed, and right now he's kind of the perfect back for the Bears to just lean on him. And another one that jumped out to me is probably a benefit. I think that Nagy's play calling can be critiqued a good amount in this game, but I think when they got down on the goal line, decided to run that read option with Justin Fields on maybe the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, something like that. And he decided to keep it, took it himself into the end zone for his first NFL touchdown, which, we talked about that as well. He did see some action in the game. I would say probably, I don't have the number in front of me, but maybe 5 or 6 snaps overall. So we did get to see a bit of Justin Fields. He's not being completely locked out of this offense. Thought Nagy utilized him well on the goal line. Play calling for the rest of the game, that's not quite what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, Justin Fields obviously displayed his versatility. It was so exciting just to see him get out there by like the 5th snap of the game or something. I mean, it was like on the first series.
It did not take long.
It did not take long for us to see Justin Fields. I was talking with Austin beforehand. There were some rumors, that they were going to give Justin Fields some looks, and sure enough, they followed through. I expect to see a lot more of that, and probably easing him into the game more and more. Obviously, this report came out that they're having a soft deadline of no sooner than week 4 to start Justin Fields. I feel like that's a pretty fair deadline to give him. But I could see the usage rate just continuing to increase week over week. And before you know it, we could be seeing like a 50-50 type game. But yeah, I just thought the usage was smart, and he had 100% completion. Obviously, he only threw 2 balls, but yeah, I mean, on paper, it looked like just a great first outing.
My only worry would be is if you ever get to the point of like a 50-50 kind of game, is that the rhythm is going to be like thrown so far out of whack.
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
Because I truly believe in offenses being in rhythm. You kind of just, as things are going well, you just tend to play more to your natural abilities. You don't overthink things and just kind of keep flowing and going along. And then you kind of throw that wrench of changing up the quarterback in there. You know, and as you keep increasing that more and more, does Dalton kind of fall out of rhythm? Does Fields not even really quite get in a rhythm? I think that overall the balance we had in this past game, in this Sunday night game, was good. I don't think it really was too much of a threat to Dalton falling out of rhythm or anything at all. And I think that they used him for the most part in the appropriate ways. I think it was like a little bit forced when they did that one shovel pass. I don't know if it was necessary to really kind of walk that out onto the field. But it was used well in a couple of scenarios. Just a little bit of hesitation to if they kind of keep blending the two more and more into the team and into that offense. But we'll see how it progresses. I can certainly see it. The more that Fields gets onto the field, the more fans are going to want him to take over, overall. So it's probably just feeding them and quenching their hunger right now.
Right. I mean, he's given us no reason not to. Admittedly, preseason is carried over into the regular season, and every time he's on the field, he just looks sharp. He makes the right decision like every time. And that's not to say, I'll just go into Andy Dalton right now. I think that there's going to be a lot of, boos and cries about the way Andy Dalton played. I'll just say it. I thought Andy played pretty well. I thought they didn't really give him the keys to the car. I think he had like 2 attempts for passes that were further than 10 yards downfield. Yeah. I mean, they just didn't give him a lot of trust. It seems weird for the starter to just not be allowed to throw deep downfield. But he completed 27 of 38 for 206 yards. He didn't score a touchdown, which hurts, and that interception was unforgivable. But I thought overall he managed the game. He moved with his feet a little bit. He actually, he surprised me with his mobility for a guy that's 35, something like that. 33.
Yeah.
He moved around. He looked in better shape than I thought.
And I don't think Dalton had an awful game by any means. I think he did well in helping navigate them down the field for most of the game. The Bears were able to basically get into Rams territory with ease and then stalled out into the red zone.
Right.
I think my issue is just, and I don't know if it's partly Dalton's fault. I wasn't paying enough to all the receivers on all the plays, but this narrative or this trend of the Bears continuing to throw short and refusing to pass the ball downfield is going to hurt. And I get the mentality because the Rams don't play a lot of people in the box. You can exploit them down low. So I understand wanting to utilize a short passing game against them. But man, like having Dalton's longest completed pass only be 9 yards hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts. You cannot continue that. You have to stretch out defenses. You're going to have to make defenses respect the pass. I mean, everything in football is so, interconnected with each other that the passing game that's going, Montgomery's going to have even better and better games. It feeds into itself. And it's doing Dalton a disservice, honestly. If they're kind of handcuffing him and not allowing him to throw the ball downfield, Andy Dalton is someone that you can trust, throw the ball downfield. He's been in the league for many years. He might make a mistake. He made a mistake in this past game, but you're going to have to give him the chance. Otherwise, you're just playing scared and, Bears fans are going to have to get used to these 13-point, 17-point, 20-point games because they're never going to reach their full potential of doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, just take a shot. Just take a shot. It doesn't even necessarily need to land. It just, just prove to them that you're capable and that you're willing to stretch the field. And then, I just thought they didn't utilize the play action enough. After Montgomery broke it off for 40 yards, I was like, all right, well, that opens up, a big chunk of the playbook. Now they're looking at Montgomery. And the thing is, it wasn't just a one like he kept doing it. He kept going. Every time you fed Montgomery the ball, it was like no one could bring him down. That replay where he ran head first into somebody and stood him up, and then he like bear crawled his way for like 6 more yards. It's like no one can bring this guy down. The defense is going to start to respect you, and they're going to start kind of looking for the run. The fact that Montgomery got only 16 carries is a little bit bothersome. Andy Dalton threw 38 times, 38, and he got 200 yards. I mean, again, managing. The problem is that we were playing from behind, and this is what happens when you're playing, down two or three or 1 or 2 scores. You're going to have to start looking to the passing game. But if you're not throwing it deep downfield, you're not setting yourself up for play action. You're just doing little check downs, little jet sweep looking. You're never going to get anywhere. And the offense obviously crumbled because of that.
Give me some spice. Give me some flair, I understand that just functional offenses, well-balanced offenses can get it done in this league, but we're not even at that. Just give me something to get excited about. Like you said, throw it down the field a couple times a game. Even if it doesn't land. It might not land that game, but it's a home run, game-changing play in the next game. A little bit of noise out there in busy Southern California.
Always something going on. Always got sirens in the background. I apologize.
They're excited because the Rams won. That's how deep that fan base is out there.
Celebrating 24 hours later.
But, overall, we need more from the offense. And I think a little bit falls on coaching. And, my brother texted me today, so I think the Bears need a strong slot receiver to pair with Montgomery. And I said the problem is the way they're playing right now, it's like all slot receivers.
Right. Yeah.
That all these receivers are basically playing the role of slot receiver, and we need someone that's going to go up there and grab some big plays. Even more concerning, though, than the offense in this past game was the defense.
Yikes.
In a couple notable areas as well. They did struggle to get pass rush at some points. Akeem Hicks had a great sack. He was just a complete monster on that one play. But, man, the safeties in the corners, our secondary in general was a huge question mark. But, man, I didn't expect to be so let down by Eddie Jackson. And I really like Eddie Jackson as a player, and by Tashawn Gibson so much. I mean, even that first huge pass that ended up scoring a touchdown, just not being mentally there to touch the player down. That's just inexcusable, and it happened so early in the game and just put a really bad taste in my mouth.
No, it was the backfield was just crushed. I mean, every time Stafford stepped up into the pocket or ran around, got some breathing room, you knew the deep ball was coming, and I invariably it was a completion every time, and you were amazed to see the receiver standing wide open, just catching it and where is everybody? Where's our safeties? Where's the corners? It was so unbelievably bad. We came into this game thinking, well, we got studs on defense, and and obviously our cornerback room is a little thin, but we got Eddie Jackson back there. I was the one saying it. I don't know why I'm putting on a voice. It was me. Eddie Jackson's going to save us. And damn. I mean, up front we looked fine. Roquan Smith led the team in tackles and assists. He's a stud as always. Okay, here's the thing. Jalen Johnson had a game-changing pick in his friggin' hands. It was in the mitts, and he just dropped it. Dude, he just dropped it. I mean, the momentum.
Pick six all day.
Oh my God,
a no-doubter
all day.
pick six.
He was at the 10-yard line. That would have changed everything. Everything. Instead, doesn't get it, and if I'm not mistaken, they scored on that drive. So
I believe so. Yeah.
I think 2 plays later, Stafford threw 35-yard completion to a touchdown. It was it was so opposite of what I think most Bears fans expected. Seeing, a halfway competent offense that just kind of, I guess this is a pattern of ours to fall apart in the red zone. But man, we came out hot. Montgomery running 40 yards on the first drive. Like, I don't think many people were upset with our first drive, save for the interception in the end zone. And then the defense comes out and just, it was like they just got steamrolled. You can't win many games giving up 34 points.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a struggle all the time. And it's just tough because that's the point where the Bears need to get to, is to scoring those 30-point games. I mean, they're going to struggle against these high-powered offensive teams, and they can really get an offense that's going to match that. And like you said, you spoke on the red zone inefficiencies. That's going to be the killer all the time. But even though the Bears dominated time of possession, the defense they couldn't keep up with it. No matter what situation you put the Bears on that field, they were struggling with that Rams offense, and it was mostly happening through the air. I mean, they shut down the run very well. It was just their pass rush was not getting there in time, and for the strength of our secondary right now, it just wasn't quick enough. Stafford was able to get the ball out, reasonably. He had to roll out a few times, roll out away from pressure, but it wasn't good enough, and it's a reflection of the pass rush not being quite where it needs to be yet, and the secondary being far off.
I'll just say this, comparing this to even last year, okay? And everyone knows what kind of team we were last year, right? Our defense took a step back. Our offense took 3 steps back. We had 2 games all season where the opponent scored more than 30 points. 2 games. And we went 500, okay? So... my bad. Maybe it was 3. It looks like the Packers did it twice. Go figure. And then somehow we let the Lions drop 34 on us. But okay, we're not a team built for shootouts. We're just not. Maybe Justin Fields in year 2 or 3 will be, capable of stepping up and delivering 35 on a nightly basis. But right now, that's just not who we are, and we haven't been that way for a long time. We're not built to have shootouts, and also we're a team that historically just doesn't even give up 30-plus point games, So if we have our first one in week 1, all right, well, that sets a real bad tone. So I'm we've already moved into the negatives here, but it's there's a long list.
Yeah, we're far into it. I think honestly, I want to, and you can follow up with more things that you thought were very concerning. But I think the one thing I wanted to hit on before we wrap it up was, how concerned does this make you for next week and the Bengals? Just because, I know that they have their issues, and matchup wise, the Bengals should, and we're already stepping a little bit probably on what we're going to talk about in the full length podcast, but with the Bengals, matchup wise, it seems like the pass rush on that offensive line should be able to get home and get through. But the Bengals show that they at least have some balance on offense. Jamar Chase went over 100 receiving yards, and Mixon had a great game. So, you just look at the way the defense got handled in this past game, and at least I'd say slightly concerned about this next week.
I'm with you, actually, because the truth of the matter is the Vikings, who the Bengals just played last night, they played a pretty good game. Kirk Cousins threw for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had almost 50 attempts. But here comes Joe Burrow, kind of a modest 20 of 27, but he threw almost 300 yards for 2 touchdowns as well. Their offense is no joke. The Bengals looked better than I think most people thought yesterday, and of course they won kind of,
surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised I think a lot of people. I don't think many people had them picked to win that game, but they had a balanced rushing attack. Joe Mixon had 29 carries for 127 yards. He averaged 4.4 a carry. I mean, I don't know. I think that we looked at next week and went, well, that's a guaranteed win, but I don't think anything is guaranteed this season. And I think that the defense looked so porous that we should be concerned about any team that's got some offensive weapons.
Yeah, and just after getting beat 34-13, even though the Bears looked pretty efficient on offense, That's just a scoreline that's not going to leave you happy. And like you said, until we see until we see it go the other way, how are we going to be confident in this team at all? So I think you look at every matchup. I mean, if they cannot beat the Bengals, it's going to be a very tough stretch for them. The games just kind of get increasingly difficult from there. This was certainly a big test for the Bears week 1. And they weren't able to pull it off. I think both Zach and I expected it to be a little bit tighter. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. And I feel like it's just it's tough to be overly excited until we see a little bit of change. And maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves and we should have just expected kind of a little bit how last year went.
I don't know what else to say. I'm nervous. Yeah. I'm nervous.
I think it's a good place to wrap it up. Tough to be happy, but here we are. It's 0-1, and onward to the Cincinnati Bengals.
It's a long season,
but it's a long season, and 16 more games. So it's basically the season that we are used to seeing are still ahead of us.
If it's any consolation, okay, the entire NFC North lost every game.
Yeah.
So it's a clean slate for the NFC North. It's like the season was never extended, and now this is week 1. Bengals, week 1, 16-game season. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, if you want the purely optimistic view, that's the way to look at it. Basically, everyone's starting already back 0-0 after every single NFC North team took a fat L yesterday, and for the Packers and the Bears, that was very much the case.
The Packers,
a little bit the Lions too. But interesting times for the NFC North. Could we be looking at a losing team from this division making it into the playoffs? It would make this season incredibly interesting. I would say that.
I would get a laugh out of that.
Well, I appreciate everyone for listening, and you guys will catch us later this week to discuss everything more heading into week 2 and some bigger topics, delving a little bit deeper into each one of these issues and really just trying to figure out this Bears team, which is probably about as puzzling as it was leading into the season. Didn't know what was going to happen. And we're still left with a lot of question marks and being pretty upset. But thank you everyone for listening, and bear down.
Bear down.